And this you mentioned this very early on in today's podcast. It's a skill-based game. So I think there's two things. So I'll talk about buyers, and then I'll go to sellers real quick. So buyers, if you have all these buyers on the sideline waiting for rates to come down, the answer is they're going to keep waiting. That's the answer. That's what Jim and I just told Brent. That's what everything has told us for the last probably at least 6 months, is that, we're not going to see a massive rate improvement in the coming year. So knowing that, you need to have the skills to talk to people about rates. Like, what's significant about that? How does that help you? What if we could lower your overall monthly payments, not just your mortgage? Like, what if we could get rid of other debt and bring your household monthly payments down, even getting a higher interest rate? That's a skill-based conversation, which we talk about in Daily Growth all the time, Brent. So quick shout out for that. If you're listening to this right now and you're not joining us every morning, it's at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. For 30 minutes, you get Brent and I live. You can ask questions. You can give us your feedback. You can help your peers grow, and you can meet new agents. So join us at Daily Growth. You can find that at realestategrowth.network. Right at the top, there's a Daily Growth button. So that's that. On the seller side, how to price. Like, if you want to sell, you need to be priced correctly. The 14% increase in sales, that's because inventory is going up. It doesn't mean there's more buyers. So if inventory is going up, it's getting more competitive to sell. And if it's getting more competitive to sell, you need to win the competition, Brent. So, from a pricing standpoint, before we used to look at pricing, Brent, and say, like, what has happened in the last 6 months? And then we pick a price based on that, because that's what your home's worth. But what do we do now?
Well, we look at the actives, really. We look at the comparables, and we factor in, or we figure out what the 30-day absorption rate is for that subset of properties. And then we know we have to be in that absorption rate percentage in order to sell in the next 30 days, or increase the likelihood of selling in the next 30 days. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to hammer home is, let's say 14% increase, and that does increase the amount of buyers that are out there. That's not a large enough increase to change the strategy of how we're currently having the conversation and pricing homes. It just isn't a large enough increase. And so if you're in this business and you're hearing the headlines of, because if you read that headline, the headline's like, market rebound predicted for 2026. That's as an agent, you hear that, you hear, seller's market, you hear like, we're going back to where we were. That's not the case. And so I think two things. I think it's important as agents that we read between the lines, and we actually read the articles and read what it actually says, because our consumers are reading the headlines and they're not reading beyond that most of the time. So it's our job to absorb the knowledge and use our skill to educate them.